Hello, my name is Jackson Allison, and I am a consultant from the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development. I've been brought in to talk to you all today about an issue I'm sure many of you are all too well aware of, the homeless problem in Seattle City proper. This is an issue that affects all of us, from the poor, unsheltered homeless folks freezing in the rain to the business owners who have to deal with people turning their awning into a bedroom. The root of the problem and the name of the problem are one and the same. There is a lack of sufficient low-income housing in this city. Seattle should reallocate their budget to double both total shelter bed capacity and total permanent housing for homeless and at-risk families by the end of the year 2030. I will get back to why this is the best solution to this issue, but in order to understand the solution, first we must understand how we got to this point. Homelessness has been a problem across the country since the perfect storm of a poorly performing economy and the deinstitutionalization of the mentally ill created what is now known as modern homelessness in the early 1980s. Since that time, the cost in rent in cities has been steadily rising, while average wages relative to rent have stagnated, according to the National Library of Medicine and the National Institutes of Health. Seattle and her incredible prosperity in recent years is a great example of the wages to rent dilemma, but that's only one part of the problem. There are two main causes of the homeless problem in Seattle today: the aforementioned rise in average wages over the past decade, and a steady decline in the amount of low-income housing available. And while factors like drug addiction, mental health, and alcoholism do lead to homelessness, recent studies by the National Law Center and the Department of Housing and Urban Development agree that the number one cause of homelessness is a lack of affordable housing for low-income individuals and families. If the number one cause of homelessness is a lack of affordable housing, then it makes sense that the best solution to the homeless problem is to add a surplus of affordable housing. It is estimated by the consulting firm McKinsey that while Seattle has added over 67,000 units of low-income housing since 2010, the city has lost nearly 112,000 units of affordable housing over the same period of time. We need to be adding cheap permanent housing options, not losing them. So how can we go about doing that? The government of Seattle is acutely aware of the homeless problem, but right now we are trying to solve it in the wrong way. The proposed city budget devoted to this issue has increased by an average of 17% per year since 2017, yet the homeless population has steadily fluctuated between 11 and 13,000 people over that same time period. It is therefore crystal clear that throwing more money at the problem is not going to be effective if the city continues to channel those funds the same way they have in the past. In other words, we need to transfer large percentages of the budget from their current allocations and into funding the housing solutions that our citizens so desperately need. The Department of Housing and Urban Development did a study across the cities of Jacksonville, Cleveland, and Washington, D.C., and determined that homeless rates went down when the cities put more resources into increasing the number of both temporary shelter beds and permanent housing spaces available. McKinsey's January 2020 study of the homeless problem in King County agreed that taking the same housing-based approach would be most beneficial for Seattle as well. So logically, Seattle spends a large portion of its homeless budget on shelters and housing, right? Wrong. Currently, this budget is well proportioned to alleviate the effects of the problem, but poorly proportioned to actually solve it. Essentially, we are continuing to buy Band-Aids and attempt to sew up a cut that really needs to be stapled all the way shut. The city is spending millions and millions of dollars on the short-term effects of this issue, rather than focusing on ending the long-term causes of the problem at hand by adding housing. And don't get me wrong, meals, emergency room visits, attending to 911 calls, these are all very helpful things for these poor displaced folks on the street. But at the end of the day, the single best thing we can do to solve the homeless problem in Seattle is to reallocate the budget to get the people off the streets permanently. These folks deserve shelters. They deserve permanent housing. And most importantly, they deserve to be back up proudly on their feet as every Seattleite should be. Thank you.